Exactly right. All right, we are up and running here. Let me plan. Um, it is Tuesday and or Monday. Sorry, Monday. And thank you guys so much for being on the call. I appreciate it. The Monday calls are taking some evolution, and one of the things that's going to start happening is this Monday. Obviously, Leslie is going to talk about personal transformation and how that's impacted her life, and how and I can say a lot of things about Leslie because when I first met her virtually this way, and just the role that she's taken within the team as being somebody who has a lot going on in her life with her personal life, and yet she never shows that she doesn't have time for others. She never indicates that there's something that is too much uh, for her to deal with. She just takes on something else. And I know a lot of being the only guy on this call, I can say this, that a lot of moms take that role all the time, right? It's like, it's just one more thing I got to add to my plate. And it is important that we realize that. It's important that we know to say no. We know how to say no. That's an important aspect that we can talk about a whole nother conversation. But it's also important to realize sometimes we make things a priority because they're important to us. And in Leslie's case, she shows how important people are because she allows them to take a priority status in her life. And even though she's got everything else going on, she still allows, the individual and the team to take a priority status in her life. And I think that a lot of us can learn from that as far as allowing things that are important to us that we know are going to give to our soul to give some level of importance to those things. Anyway, that's not where I was going with my initial conversation, but I'm looking at Leslie and she just inspires me in that way. So the thing that I will tell you guys is that the Monday calls are going to take a little bit of a change, and you're going to see that next week. Beth Gilmore is going to talk on the personal development as well, and what that, but more from a practical status is that's what she does for a living. She's a business coach and that sort of thing. So she's going to talk about how to use personal growth and how to use that in your business. After that, so 2 Mondays from now, they're going to continue with the Eric Worre dashboard training program that several of the team members are involved in. Whether you're involved in it or not doesn't indicate whether you should be on the call. What you can do is be on the call and learn how Eric Worre, who if you have never read anything network marketing, I would tell you right now, get a book called GoPro. It's an easy read. It actually has pictures, so it's even easier, right? And it's an easy read to read through it, and it's got big font. It's one of those books that you can kind of, even a Kansas farm kid can read through easily. So you read through it and you can pick up a lot of good information, and it does have a lot of great information. So that's what's going to happen 2 weeks from now. Okay. So I want you guys to realize that as a team, we're always evolving on our calls, right? We're always trying to do things, even though sometimes we do things we've done before, but new people bring new energy, and new energy causes different things to happen than the last time you did it. So that's where we're headed. I love the fact that you guys are on here taking part of this. And I'm going to let Michelle, doesn't even know I'm going to do this. Michelle Gilbert, I'd like for you to introduce Leslie.
Wow. Never cease to throw me under the bus, do you?
Oh.
So Leslie and I started talking about a year ago, I think. I posted something on one of her posts, and she ended up, long story short, she ended up calling me. We talked for a couple hours that night, and we got along really, really well. What Brent said about Leslie is completely true. She, no matter what she's going through, she always makes time for other people, and she has had a difficult life, but you would never know it unless you got to know her. because she just loves helping other people. And so I love her to death. She's a wonderful human being. So Leslie, go for it.
Well, thank you guys both. You're gonna make me cry before I make you guys all cry. So get out the tissues, because here we go. Oh, first of all, I just want to say thank everybody for showing up tonight. And then I want to start with what Carla talked about last week about how to build rapport outside of social media. So how many of you were able to intentionally make connections outside of in the real world this last week? Good, nice. Good job, good job. All right, so tonight we're talking about personal development, and I'm gonna start with telling my story because it really has taken me and really changed my life. I've never told my entire story all at once like this, so please bear with me, and you might wanna get the tissues out because I'm already feeling it coming, so. And I'm probably going to be reading a lot because I don't want to end up going off on some tangent out in left field. So forgive me if I'm not looking up at the screen. So my daughter was 1 when my husband was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He passed away right before her 3rd birthday. At the time, I did not have much of a positive support system. So when he passed, I had to create a brand new life for me and my daughter, Brooke, all on my own. I also had lost all faith I had in God, no clue where to turn to, no clue how to move on. And I could not understand why this happened to me. And remember this sentence later on, why it happened to me, because at the end, I'm gonna bring that full circle, okay? So after that happened, I started drinking heavily. A lot of people probably don't know this about me, but that was my crutch. My health was declining. I wasn't eating well. I wasn't working out. I felt mentally and physically drained, exhausted, just totally crap all the time. I heard somewhere about this book called The Miracle Morning, and I had some kind of epiphany before I started reading it. I just knew I needed to change. I have a daughter. I had a full-time job. I needed to keep my house up, but I had all this stuff I had to do, and I couldn't just keep drinking. I had to get my crap together. I had to get my life together. So I heard somebody say something good about this book, and I was like, it was a short book, hate reading at this point, hated reading. I'm like, whatever, what's the worst? It was like not very expensive. So I was like, I'm just gonna try reading it and see what happens. So I read it and I actually liked it. It's just about a book about getting your priorities straight. It's called The Miracle Morning. So it's about waking up early, setting the tone for the day. Like if you're into meditation, praying, reading, getting some kind of physical activity going, just getting your mind and body ready for the day. And the big thing about personal development is you have to actually do these things. You can't just read the book, put it down, read the book, put it down. And I actually did what it told me to do. And that book, everyone that's talked to me knows that I've read this book, and I've suggested it to tons of people. Because I think this was honestly like the start of a change in me. So it helped me stop drinking because I started to love how I felt in the morning, and I loved everything I was starting to accomplish by just putting my priorities down on paper and just stopping to take a little bit of time for myself. Just like all of us are addicted to, addicted to the Isagenix products and how they make us feel. Like that's how I feel about books too. Like I can't get enough of them because they help me so much. So that is the first half of my story in a nutshell. Fast forward to March 2020, the week that the dreaded COVID hit the US, I also failed out of nursing school the same week. So COVID, nursing school, failed. It was a pretty bad week, to say the least. Okay. So I'm not saying personal development is the reason that I failed, but somewhere through nursing school, I lost sight of myself and helping myself, and I was so focused on the physical activity of studying and managing my household on my own in Brooklyn and everything else. So I started reading again, because at this point, I'm not in school, I'm not working yet, and I didn't have a lot going on. Oh, COVID. So there was nothing going. We were all stuck in the house. So I started reading again, started jumping on these calls because of Michelle. Michelle talked to me. We started talking through Facebook, and then we started talking, and then I started getting on these calls. So everything started kind of getting back on track. And then my daughter started getting really sick. It took me a while to figure out what was going on. Well, she ended up being diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And it's severe. There's different levels of it, but hers was severe. And she was almost 5 feet tall, 61 pounds, if that tells you anything. She was literally less than the 1 percentile for her body weight. And like her doctor didn't know, just had her on a medicine that wasn't working. It's been like this whole thing, it's just been awful. This situation is like a repeat of my husband's sickness, like all over again, but now it's my daughter. So I felt like going through this, I felt like it wasn't, like it might not seem like a big deal on the outside from people that didn't know me, like some of my friends on here know me, but it was super hard looking at her be so sick, like especially as a kid. It's way worse when it's your kid. Couple weeks ago, we had a 10-day hospital stay in U of M down in Ann Arbor, and it was the best thing that could have happened to her. They found out excuse me. They found a treatment plan that helped her like quickly. And now she's looking and feeling like her old self again, and it's been amazing. But sorry, back to personal development. I brought a book to the hospital that helped me through. I literally just grabbed a book off the shelf. I've never read it before. I wasn't really sure if I was even gonna want to read it when I'm there, but I got to a point where I felt like I couldn't take anymore. I picked up the book and opened it to a certain page, and it like literally lifted me through this. And then Carla called me and said the same thing that my book said that I had just read. So, and I know she's big on personal development as well. So I am not even kidding when I say that this helped me. I don't know how I would have made it through this hospital stay without these people I've met through Isagenix, the books I've been reading. Just literally got me through the whole hospital stay. So here I am back in the caretaker role again, only it's my daughter. But the difference is this time around I had an amazing support system, which I did not have when my husband was sick. He was sick for 2 years, and it was awful to say the least. But this time it was different. So it was so much easier when I had people to call and cry to or whatever. I had so many people to help me through this. And I give a thanks to this company, but more importantly, the team of people, these team of people, some of them I don't even know, who called and sent gifts to Brooklyn. I don't even know half these people. It was so amazing that just because I put myself out there, people are so caring and made her day a little bit brighter every day. So because of reading these books, most of them will tell you, most of these kind of books will tell you somewhere in there that if you surround yourself with positive, uplifting, happy, honest people, get rid of negativity, go for your dreams. It might sound cheesy, but it is so true. And when you really get into these books, you'll feel it in your soul that it's real and it's true. And that's why that's the way those things are a thing, because it's real. So right now you might be wondering why or what all this has to do with this business and why am I telling you all of this. Reading these books have made me be a better person for my daughter because she deserved better than the life I had growing up. I had a mom who didn't care about me, a drunk uncle that lived next door to me, always harassing me. And I started my adult life in a crappy apartment with my only nourishment being ramen noodles and Bud Light. And I will be damned if that's gonna happen to her. She is not gonna grow up like that and start her life like that. So the books, because reading these books, it brought me to this company. This is where it's coming full circle right now. And someone I knew, again, through Facebook, Todd Wilkinson's not on tonight, but he saw something in me that I didn't even know existed at the time. And he kept being persistent with me. He knew I needed nutrition because that's back when I was drinking. Actually, Todd was trying to reach out to me, and I don't know, something happened. He just felt that I needed something good in my body. And he kept being persistent until I finally was like, okay, I'm doing this. And so right now, Brooke and we're still fighting this battle, but this time we have an army behind us, and that is the best feeling ever. So because these books led me to this company, which led me to these people who are amazing friends, I found my true purpose in life. And that is to help people. And that's it. I just need to help people, whether it's nursing, helping people with their nutrition, healthy lifestyle, train people in the gym, or just being a good friend listening. By listening, I'm here to help people, and I've gained my faith back as well. And then back to when I said at the beginning, remember when I said, why did this happen to me? I'll never know why exactly my husband was taken so soon, but I do know that I was put here to serve people and to help families go through tough situations like the one I've been through. And that is the power of developing yourself as a person. That's the reason, that's the circle, that's why. Okay, you can wipe the tears now. Sad part's over. So I know I talked about a lot about books, but there's also podcasts, YouTube, there's lots of ways you can get personal development. Another thing is if you start to read a book or listen to a podcast and you're bored, you don't like it, it's not serving you, don't feel like you have to finish it. If you're bored with it, just put it to the wayside and pick something else up. Pick something that sounds interesting, that you feel passionate about, that you feel like you could use help in whatever area of your life. Pick something that you like. And the author may not be somebody you click with, or they don't resonate with you. So it's okay to stop and try something else. And I've found that a lot of times when I do that, if I pick up a book and I start reading it and it's boring, or I'm not feeling it right now, and I put it down, 2 years from now, I might pick that book up again, start reading it and go, oh, wow, this is like super, like, this is what I needed right now. It just wasn't time in my life. So just because you don't want it now doesn't mean you won't ever be able to use that in your life. Some like, I'm sure you guys are all familiar, but you can get personal development any area in your life at all. It's like kids, health, fitness, relationships, finances, business, time management, family. I mean, I could talk all night about that. And then something I wanted to point out is, as parents, and especially I think I can say mothers, we sometimes forget to take care of ourselves with everything that we have going on. But we have to remember that if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. And it's something you have to remind yourself of, but there's a book out there for that too. So I was just gonna give you guys a few ideas of beginner books, and then I have an assignment for you. So I'll post these as well, so you don't have to write it down or put them in the chat. The Energy Bus is a good one. Millionaire Success Habits, it sounds like it's all about making money, but it's really not. It's really deep, and it is an amazing book. Failing Forward. I know Carla does a lot of podcasts, and I like Tony Robbins personally, but there's so many people out there that do really, really great ones. You just have to find who you kind of click with. So your assignment is to pick a book, or podcast, or something, whatever you want. If you find it on YouTube, there's a million ways you can find them. And then post what you've chosen. I'll make a post in Working from the Beach, so you guys can post under there what you've chosen, and so you can get started on it. And that's all I have. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Hey, you did a good job.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. I want to give you guys another suggestion about personal development. I don't know if it will help you guys, but it definitely helped me. I was reading The Charge by Brendan Burchard, and I was getting a little bored with the book. And then I bought it on CDs, you know, old school. And I played it in my car. And then to hear him say the book, like he is reading the book. So I'm reading it, but he's reading it. So I'm listening to it and reading it, made it a million times better. So if you get kind of squirrely when you read, you know, like you're thinking about something else, you're like, oh shit, what did I just read? And you got to go back again. Like that happens to me all the time. Maybe listening to it might be a thing. What? Shut up.
I want to add that at some point in the last, I don't know, 8 months maybe, when Leslie and I were talking, she was telling me about the books that she reads, and they were all personal development. And I went, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I blew her off. And she talked me into, I cannot stand personal development books. I'm a fiction reader all day long. I will literally sit and read all day if you let me. But I couldn't stand personal development books. And she talked me into trying one. And I think it was the Energy Bus one first. And I have like 5 or 6 of them now. I'm in book clubs with a few people on here reading personal development books. It's all about the right book. That first book that I tried years ago, didn't like it. And instead of putting it down and trying something else, I just said, personal development books aren't for me. So I was obviously wrong. I don't admit that often. No, I'm just kidding. But so listen to what she said, because she talked me into it. If she can talk me into it, she can, you know, for anybody. Just got to find the right one.
Right.
Leslie, I think that's awesome. I mean, and I think, well, 2 things. I'm going to tell you that as you mold that story, well, let me back up. What I'd like for everybody here to do is I'd like for you to think about what she just presented to you as a story. And I want you to send her a message. One, send Leslie a message and tell her thank you for being vulnerable about something that she shared, right? The other thing I'd like for you to do is I'd like you to think about how whatever it is that you're going through in your life can be improved by helping others. Okay, because a lot of times when we're going through something, we just, oh, poor me. And you don't realize that by reaching out and helping somebody else, and it doesn't matter what it's about, but being willing to help other people will make what you're going through not necessarily better, but at least more tolerable. Because a lot of times what you find is that what you are going through and what you think is hard, by the way, for any of you that know me, I don't like that word. When somebody says something is hard, I don't like that word, because I know what hard can be, but a lot of times we use the word hard in a way that's not true. We say things are hard But I think about hard and I think, well, I don't know, laying asphalt in 115 degrees, that's pretty hard, right? Going through what Leslie went through, that's pretty hard. Those things are hard. But a lot of times we say that word
Mhm.
and it doesn't have really meaning because we say something is hard. Like, oh, I'll give you an example. Leader in action. It's hard. It ain't hard. It's different. It's challenging. It's something that you have to open your mind to, but it's not hard, right? What Leslie went through, what some of us have, what a lot of us have gone through, what a lot of you have gone through, those things are hard, right? Understanding that some things are challenging, different, and require change, that's different than being hard, okay? So, but I want you to think about the things that she went through, and I want you to think about how she offered that information. And are you willing to be that open to others? Are you willing to share at the level that Leslie just shared? And how is that going to impact her personally? And then are you offering that environment that we talk about within this team, this community? Are you offering that to the people that you're bringing on board? Because a lot of times we bring people on and we say, oh, we've got this 11-day shred and we've got this coaching page, we've got this and this and this. But what we're really inviting them to is an amazing community of people that actually give a shit. Right? And when you can get somebody involved in this community and get them to drop their negative thoughts, like Michelle had about self-help, self-development books, once you drop that negative thought, because I guarantee you the reason she didn't like it wasn't because she didn't like to read. The reason she didn't like it is because it was exposing something to her that she didn't think was right. But she's being exposed to something that her mind is willing to accept. And now all of a sudden, boom, right? Mind's blown, right? Leslie's going through something that all of us are sitting there going, holy shit, let's throw all the problems on the table. I think I'll take mine back. Right? Leslie, you get to keep yours. I'm taking mine back. Because we all think that what we have going on is so unique and so hard, but then when we throw them on the table, a lot of times we go, we'll take ours back. Because we really don't want to trade them to somebody else. And these are really cool things in the aspect of what it does for your personal development, how it's going to be for you. But on the business side, okay, because when it comes down to it, this is a business call. On the business side, the reason that Leslie is still here with us and the reason that Leslie is willing and open to doing the business with us is because of a community that she feels like cares about her. And if you're not offering that same community to the people that you have, if you're not offering that, if you're not showing them, if you're not exposing them to that, then don't expect them to stay around when they go through stuff that's really hard. Because what they're going to do is they're going to retreat into their corner. They're going to think that nobody cares, or they're just going to assume that nobody cares because they're not exposing this to the community and you're not showing them that grace. And the fact that Michelle and Leslie connected, I'll tell you right now, they have absolutely no financial connection to each other. Zero. Okay, there's no financial connection. But had it not been for the community that exists, they would have never met. So when you're thinking about, hey, how do I deal with this stuff? Introduce your people to the community and let the community figure it out. Okay, because it will. Right? Leslie, thank you. Seriously, thank you very much for sharing that. On the critiquing, criticizing things, I would just tell you, keep doing it. Because as you continue to share that story, you're going to drill down. I still don't think you found that bawl your eyes out portion of that story. I think there's something else there that you're not sharing yet. That is the bawl your eyes out portion of your story. And that's okay. That's quite all right that you didn't share that, but there's something else there. And I know, and I can feel it. I don't even know what it is, but I know there's something else there. And as you become more confident with your story, then you'll feel more confident to share that. Tracy and I, and not totally different, but on a monetary side, Tracy and I have shared our financial story, but there's still like pieces of that story that are just so heartbreaking for me that like I don't talk about it because literally I will cry when I tell that level of that story. Like I'll cry because it evokes that level of emotion. And I know that this is still so fresh for you, that what you're going through, that you're not showing it all, because otherwise you wouldn't have been able to do it without crying. And that's all right.
I know, and it's funny because I was typing it up so I could edit and, copy and paste, because I kept going, oh, this needs to go here, this needs to go here. And at the end of it, I was like, what am I even talking about? Like, I felt like I was babbling. And then I'm like, how does this relate to the business? And at the end, I was like, oh my God, personal development is the reason why I met these people. Like, and the reason I got through this, I started crying, like sitting on the couch typing. Brooklyn's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I just had an epiphany. Like, this is why. I didn't even realize it until I started writing it.
Keep sharing it.
Crazy.
Keep doing it, and keep sharing it on a personal level, and you're going to see you will find that. And as you find that, because that may be the thing that brings people to your team, is people that want to be a part of the fact that you care.
One thing that Leslie and I talked about this morning, Leslie, I don't know if you want to share this part, is that you can overdo it.
Yeah. You can so if you're reading too much, doing too much, like if you're reading 3 books at one time, I have a tendency to try to do that because I'm so excited to read all these books now that I just want to read like 3, 4 at a time, which sounds ridiculous. But if you're reading 3 books and then listening to like some podcast that's in too many areas at once, like when I run the treadmill, I listen to Tony Robbins sometimes because he gets me pumped up and I'm like, yeah, life is good. Like, and then when I'm reading a book, it's totally different. Like your mind gets really, it doesn't help you because you can't focus on one thing. So really you need to like narrow it down to what do you need the most out of your life? Heidi. Like, what do you need the most out of your life right now? Like I picked that book to take to the hospital with me and I still don't know why. But when I got to the hospital, that is what I needed to read on that page. It's so kind of mind blowing, but you can't have too much. You have to kind of narrow it down, just try one area at a time.
And then we also talked about make sure that, you can listen to podcasts and read books, and that's wonderful, and journal, but you still got to do
the work. Yeah, there's work to be done. You don't just read a book and discard it. There's most of them will ask you to like write down 5 things, or there's actions. You have to take action. You can't just read the book. You have to take the action.
And that's part of this, you guys, goes back to the Easy Does It, Crank It Up, and Freight Train, right? Easy Does It might be podcast listening, right? Crank It Up might be starting to read a book or getting a book on Audible, right? And Freight Train is I'm carrying books with me everywhere I go and I'm reading it and I'm soaking it up and I'm digging into it, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody has that. But if you don't at least pick Easy Does It, then you're never going to find Freight Train.
Yeah.
Right? So pick something and do it.
So do you read every single day?
Almost, yes. Every single day. Whether it's just a little bit. If I don't have time, I'll just do a little bit. But some days I read like 3 chapters because I just can't stop.
And so I know you did Millionaire Success Secrets with Diana and Stephanie and Heidi and Michelle and I. So let me ask you this question. Did you find that you got more out of that book and you took more action with that book because you had us there keeping you accountable, or was it easier just to read a book on your own and be accountable to yourself?
Oh, no, 100% with people, because you're digging in and piecing it apart, picking it apart by piece. And yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm a social person. I like reading by myself. I enjoy our book club so much more because it's so deep, much deeper.
Yeah. So it'd be great. Like if, I don't know, I'm reading a book, maybe Jason jumped in and read it with me, for just an example. That'd be like, you would suggest that then?
Yeah, Jason, I would.
Okay.
If Jason probably would hop on if he knew people are flashing.
True. Yes.
A disclaimer, the
Oh.
last book I read was the Sears Craftsman Lawnmower Manual, so I'm more of an audio guy.
Yep. So thanks, girls. Appreciate it. Got nothing from him.
Well, I know who to call if my lawnmower breaks though.
Yeah,
I'll
behind
let
you.
I don't know where you guys are in personal development books, but if anybody on here or anybody listening to the recording later does not have a clue where to start,